Brave is the sailor who ventures into unknown water. Braver still are those who sail back home. Episode 3 of The Rings of Power is out, and with it comes a whole slew of new hidden details and references. But let's dip our toes into the water and start with 5 things you may have missed. Slight spoilers ahead. Right out of the gate, these episodes have all had a title starting with A. Episode 3 continues this trend with the title of Adar. Here's the complete sum of our knowledge. He is an elf of some sort involved with the orcs for some reason. The thing you missed is the repercussions of this new character. If he is some sort of corrupted elf, this changes the race's natural aversion to evil. And where answers aren't clear, theories are bred. His name implies a fatherly role amongst the orc horde, and his ears imply the presence of elf blood. So hear me out. It is technically possible for elves and orcs to reproduce. It hasn't been shown before, and there's little to go off of, but this is a fantasy realm, so anything is possible. Númenor was indeed a gift to the 3 houses of Edain after the defeat of Morgoth. The island itself is split between 6 regions: Forostar to the north, Andustar to the west, Hionostar the southwest, Hyarostar to the south, Orostar to the east, and Middlemar, the inlands. But we're not done there. Ever wonder why those civilians disliked elves? Well, this is just speculation, but it could be because of the elvish immortality. We see because these people descend from a bloodline favored by the Valar, they are longer lived than their Middle-earth counterparts, while also being banned from sailing beyond their horizon, keeping them from the undying land. So over time, this would breed an envious relationship, as they watch those they deem their equal never age and die, while they are forced into immortal life. Which is ironic given the fact that the first king of Númenor himself was a half-elf. And knowing that brings us to a possible bonus fact. That giant statue gesturing to the sky in the aerial shot of Númenor? Well, it may be in reverence to that first king himself. Speaking of Númenor, it wouldn't be a grand Tolkien city without the presence of some sort of giant tree. In this case, it's that of Nimloth. Nimloth is the grand tree of Galathion, which itself was made from the image of Telperion, the origin of light. Long names for trees, right? Well, that's just the beginning. See this family tree, pun intended, has ties to all 3 races of Middle-earth. We'll circle back to that. To begin, the elves recreating a version of the Tree of Light as their connection to the Valar. Them giving a clan of men a descendant of this tree ties them to the race of men. And finally, Elrond gifting Durin connects them to the dwarves. The only one without a special gift tree is the humble hobbits. This one tree is the representation of the entire bloodline throughout all of Middle-earth's ages, as it follows the descendants of Elros all the way down to Isildur himself. If you blinked, you may have missed this small cameo by the man who will fail to rid the realm of the One Ring. That is, if your blinks are about an hour. Rings of Power was not shy showing off another one of its big players. Unless you've been living in the orc tunnels for the past 68 years, you may know of the co-founder / ruler Isildur, the one destined to cut the hand of Sauron and claim the ring for himself. While fans theorized he'd show up in the show, what with them teasing him in the trailer, this is a really early appearance of the future king. We knew that the writers were condensing the timeline, but this has him born thousands of years before he was supposed to be. Wherever the show is taking him, it will definitely be in Middle-earth, both because he has to meet and become friends with Elrond, and because we can hear him being called to the sea. Fun bonus fact, he will eventually use Nimloth to seed the White Tree of Gondor, proving that the real heroes of Lord of the Rings were the trees. All of this leads to a fact you might not be seeing in every episode. Tolkien's purpose for writing Lord of the Rings was a metaphor for industrialization and the horrors he saw in the war. The reasons why the humans are fighting amongst elves? Oppression is the in-universe reason, but contextually they are literally rejecting the ways of the old. Elves in their everlasting life represent the ancient and traditional, whereas humans are forging their future. We see this play out amazingly in episode 3 specifically. The Númenorians have almost all rejected their elven connection and are openly hostile to the suggestion that they should be different. But the telling sign is Galadriel's despair at how much Númenor has changed. She says this simply walking through the city before speaking to anyone. This can easily be seen as a reference to the amount of change humans go through in comparison to that of elves. A good example is the ancient painting we see of Elrond and Elros in the library. Elrond today looks like he did thousands of years before, down to the clothing. As we watch Sauron slowly grow in power, we inevitably will see the horrors of war as well. Those are it for now. Season 1 is getting better with every episode, and while it will take time to adjust to those small changes to our timeline, it will surely be worth it in the end. Thanks for watching.